Morning, students. Just want to go through some of the key elements of justifying your recommendations and the actual strategies that you expect to see from that. I've put together this slideshow that's going to look at some of the important elements that you might look at, and I've specifically referred to my Subway example. So these are looking at the sort of recommendations that you might see that come from the model. And if you remember, I've chosen the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And so they start down at the bottom, physiological needs and needs for safety. Then you look at belonging, and then you go to esteem and self-actualization, the high level needs. So let's look at the specific recommendations that might come out of the Subway situation. The first of these is that you need to focus on paying staff fairly for the work that they do. And this leads to the physiological needs, the very basic needs. And at the moment, staff are having to close the stores and they're estimating how long it takes. But this is, of course, not great because it could take a lot longer, and particularly if it's busy around closing time, and that could be a problem for staff. Staff have this pressure, they want to close and get out of the store, and they might be reluctant to serve people, or the store might look like it's partly shut up and people go past. So it's better that they're paid fairly for the work that they do, both from the position that they'll feel better in themselves, but also they might be more prepared to serve some customers who come in at the last minute and might make some more profit for the business. So the recommendation is that they adopt a new payroll system that pays staff for the exact hours worked, not just estimating it's going to take 30 minutes to close the store. Woolworths has a payment system that works like that. Another one, training. So training often refers to the esteem, the achieving level, going beyond just doing a simple job. And so you want to say that we want to have staff that understand the key elements of customer service and food preparation. How do you make that a little bit more interesting as a recommendation? Well, you could use an outside provider to allow staff to complete a certificate in business by going through the training modules, so that staff are not just getting training, they're also getting a qualification. McDonald's do a really nice job of some study options around supporting staff. Staff performance. So this is around Maslow's idea of achievement, a high level one. And this is hard because in a Subway store people are making sandwiches. How do you get a sense of achievement there? Well, maybe using goals and setting goals and providing a financial incentive when people meet that. For example, maybe setting a target of a level of sales per shift, and that if people get sales over that level, they get, say, 3% of sales paid as an incentive. Right? So some level of motivation in this. Suddenly that work of building sandwiches becomes a little bit more important because there are some goals and some incentives around it. Call centers often will focus on setting targets and providing incentives for people from that. A career path, right? This is where, at the moment, Subway, because it's a lot of small stores, doesn't have a great sense of career path for employees. And this is important. Maslow says this is about the esteem level, the feeling of achievement. So, setting up a system where longer-term Subway employees, say you've been working at Subway for 5 years, maybe you can access a loan from Subway to purchase your own franchise. So suddenly you have a chance of going from being making sandwiches to owning a franchise. You would have to have conditions. So if you've shown high levels of customer service and food handling skills, completed the training and made a successful application. But if you think about those first two, those things are going to benefit the business. If employees are motivated towards getting their own franchise, they can see a way, and they're going to work hard on their customer level service and complete training. That's going to benefit the business. The next one is teamwork. And if I just go back to the last one, there are franchises that do that. So this would be something quite positive. Next one is being part of a team, the sense of belonging. And a lot of time in Subways you're working only with a couple other people in a fairly small store. So building some teams of 3 to 4 stores in an area and having regular activities will build the sense of social interaction and being part of something bigger, being part of a bigger team. You could support that with social media. For example, Facebook pages or some internal communication. Flight Centre have done this very, very well. and have their stores set up as individual stores, as bigger networks of teams, and largely as big networks of a number of teams. Family, village, tribe is how they describe their structure. Encouraging staff to build ideas, right? How do you get some ideas from the staff? Because after all, making sandwiches is not the most innovative thing. But this is the highest of Maslow's needs, self-actualization, creativity. So maybe you could set up a dedicated email to encourage staff to email ideas that they have for improvement. If ideas are used and they make, for example, maybe they deal with something that means there's less wastage in stores, share the reward that comes with the staff who suggested it. 3M do this very well. So 3M make a range of products, including stationery products. They're very famous for their sticky notes. And they encourage staff to put forward ideas. And in fact, the sticky notes did come from a staff idea. And then they share the profits from the ideas with the staff. So the staff who thought up that idea of sticky notes are very wealthy people. Amongst all of it, staff turnover is very important. And this would be a way of measuring whether the strategy is successful. How much staff turnover is happening? Is the model working? And that's something that you could use then to say, okay, we would want to see staff turnover reduce if this model is working effectively. So there are some ideas around how the model turns into specific human resource strategies and what those human resource strategies might look like in the Subway example.